I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back again with a brand new video. And I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. This is some huge news for the Charlotte Hornets. I'm sure y'all have all heard by now, but let me just go ahead and frame this real quick, give you a little backdrop on what happened last night and what it means for this franchise. First things first, throw up this tweet right here from Shams. He says, Charlotte Hornets guard Lamelo Ball. And from this point forward, I'm going to refer to him as Mello because he is the only Mello who does deserve that name. The other guy who formerly was known as Mello chose to line his pockets in New York rather than chase a chip when he had multiple opportunities to do so. And while I'm not going to ever disrespect a man and doubt or judge a man for lining his pockets and setting his family up for generations, when you sit there and you choose to not chase greatness and not chase chips and not further your legacy, I'm sorry, you can get the money, but you gotta give up that nickname. You gotta come up off that nickname. Melo Ball is the only Mello I want to hear about when we're talking about the game of basketball. Anyway, is feared to have a fractured right wrist. Source tells The Athletic. Ball is receiving a second opinion on his wrist for next steps. This is huge news. This happened in the second quarter, near the end of the second quarter, against the Clippers. Just last night, it was a fast break. He goes up on like 2-3 people, tries to go up with a scoop layup, falls to the ground, lands on his right hand. And you know, all the time, dudes, go for layups and whatnot, and they fall to the ground and they slide the right way. Melo does not. Melo gets on his wrist and he just jams a little bit. You think, okay, he's feeling his wrist, looking at it and whatnot. He even gets pulled up by both of his hands, by his teammates. You think yourself, okay, cool. It's an everyday average kind of fall. Then he goes to the sideline, goes to the bench, gets it looked at. The trainer's looking at his wrist, rubbing it, whatnot, doing what trainers do. They tape it up. He comes back in the game. But you can tell as he's walking onto the floor, he's messing with the tape, messing with his wrist. You just know for 100% the fact that Mello does not like how that feels. His wrist don't feel right. The tape don't feel right. You can just tell he was uncomfortable the whole time. Comes back out and we find out the news that Lamelo Ball broke his wrist. More technically, he has a fracture in his wrist, and that's real tough to see as Hornets fans who have not had real hope in a long time. Now, Mello was one of the only, honestly, good decisions in Michael Jordan's tenure as the acting owner of the Hornets. Kemba was good too. I'm not gonna front. Kemba was a good look too, but the decision to not keep Kemba is looking better and better every day. Just seeing how he's doing on the Celtics and how the Celtics are doing as a whole, honestly. A lot of that is injuries, and I doubt that Jordan knew about those. I doubt he did not give the Supermax to Kemba because of injuries. I'm sure he was being cheap at the time, but still, the decision was the decision, and it looks like we're looking pretty damn good. Who knows how good it would have been with Kemba just last year. Well, we have still got the third overall pick and got Mello. Who knows? Any number of things could have happened, but the point is, Melo Ball has been the biggest and most obvious shining star in Jordan's tenure as a guy who picks players in the draft. And Melo has been extremely above what most people would have expected out of him before the draft, during the draft, and even after the draft. There's a ton of people, Hornets fans, not Hornets fans, who doubted Mello coming to the NBA. Maybe a lot to do with LeVar, some to do with Lonzo, who had a slow start in LA, then went to the Pelicans and he was playing second fiddle to Brandon Ingram. And then as well, when you saw Zion come through, it was like he was the third fiddle again. But Lonzo has improved a lot, mostly due to Mello being so good out the gate. And we did see, we didn't have Mello starting games until like, what was his 15, 16 game in the league. He wasn't getting a ton of minutes. He had a little bit of a slow onboarding period to get with the team. And it made sense because we already picked up Scary Terry and we had Gordon Hayward, right? Those are two other dudes who were heavily doubted. Scary Terry by me, honestly, but I believe in Gordon Hayward. I thought Gordon would be a good pickup for the team. I thought he was in a bad situation with the Celtics, and he had those injuries so close together. It was a weird thing going on there. I knew Gordon was going to be good here, and we needed some sort of even slight star potential name, like this outside of a star in Gordon Hayward, but Scary Terry and Gordon Hayward, two ex-Celtics players, came through here and have earned what they got paid in those contracts that not just Hornets fans, but NBA fans in general clowned us for giving them. They played great, but who's played even greater? Mello. 16 points, averaging 6 assists a game. The man's been way better than a lot of people thought he would have been, even quicker. I think he's already cemented himself as better than his older brother Lonzo, and even LeVar said his youngest would be his greatest. Melo's looking real good right now, and we can talk about the almost 3 turnovers a game, but he kind of does suffer from that whole Steph Curry syndrome where you're trying to put on a show every single night that sometimes you may risk throwing the ball away. You might risk losing control here and there, but 3 turnovers a game is a small price to pay for what you get out of Mello, and that's excitement from a Charlotte Hornets fan base. That's excitement from people who probably watched a handful of games, probably 5-6 Hornets games in the past 10 years. Not even Hornets fans. Fans from around the NBA who've never, ever cared about the Hornets are watching Hornets games to see Mello. Miles looks really good. Devontae Graham, when he's in, looks good. I mean, we've seen these players blossom. Even Biz. I won't lie to you. I don't got a lot of love for Biz, but it's all good because even he's playing a little bit better with Mello on the floor. But then I saw this tweet right here from Adrian Wojnarowski saying Charlotte guard Lamelo Ball, Rookie of the Year frontrunner. And when he says frontrunner, he means literally the only candidate. Anthony Edwards is good. I like him. But he really had no shot at all of winning Rookie of the Year over Mello. There was literally nobody in the league who got drafted in this calendar year who had a shot against Mello. Let's be real about it. It was definitely a one-man race. Is expected to miss the rest of the season with a fracture to his wrist. Source tells ESPN he's seeking a second opinion to confirm the diagnosis, but then he goes on to say that Melo's going to be meeting with Dr. Michelle Carlson at the hospital for special surgery in New York, and she's one of the top specialists for hand injuries, so it's going to be real tough to understand what's going on. I think it's like, just over 30 games left in the season. We have a shorter season this year in the NBA, and playoffs are coming very, very soon. And we're sitting at the 5th, 6th spot with a bunch of teams in that same vicinity between the 5th, 6th spot and 8, 9. There are play-ins, so you can make the playoffs by getting play-ins in that last few spots, but it's going to be real tough for this Hornets team to win and get in with the players we have. Look, Scary Terry, Gordon Hayward, PJ, and even Devontae, these are all great players. These are all very, very good, dope players. Mello was special. And I'm not saying the team begins and ends with Mello, but he is definitely a spark plug. He is definitely someone who helps the morale on the squad. Him being out for this season puts a whole damper on the whole situation, and this might end up being like a Joe Burrow situation where you are probably going to end up being Rookie of the Year. Then an injury ruins your season, and you just can't give it to a guy who didn't play the back end of the season. You're not going to get the numbers that fight with Anthony Edwards. Mello is probably going to have to hope he ends up getting the Ben Simmons treatment. But this is just really tough news, man. This was the first time in a long time that people were excited about Hornets games. I know Hornets fans who wasn't really watching Hornets games, who started watching again this season primarily because of how electrifying Lamelo Ball is. And to lose him like this puts a real damper on things if you are a Hornets fan. I know a lot of Panthers fans aren't even Hornets fans because they've been so bad for so long. I don't even blame you. I don't blame you if you're a Panthers fan who's not a Hornets fan. I get it. I understand it. I can't let it go, but I don't judge Panthers fans who don't like the Hornets. I can't judge that at all. It is what it is, though, bro. I gotta just hope that Mello can find a way to play this season. But if it's gonna hurt him even more or potentially make this injury worse over time, then go ahead and sit him down. Let's go ahead and lose these games. Get a top what? I don't know. Maybe we can get a top 10 pick. Maybe the lottery will be nice to us. We get a top something pick. Who knows what can happen here? We may do just well enough to actually get to the play-ins and make it the playoffs. We can't make playoffs here. We have a good enough team to be an 8 seed, I think. We can be an 8 seed, but we've always had a good enough team to be around that 9, 10 seed where a few more games here and there could have got us to the 8th seed. But at this point, let's just focus on the draft, bro. I know these guys have pride, but let's get to the draft. find a big, do something, honestly. We gotta do something in this draft. Find a big somehow, some way. And then year 2, Mello can become even greater and he'll come back from this injury, bounce back, and we have an actual team that is a contender that is respected from day one. That's how I feel about it, man. Shout out to Mello, bro. Hope you get better. Hope you get well soon, man. And next year is going to be his year. What are your thoughts? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.